Hey YouTube, it's your favorite mega church cult survivor, Leah Lauder, and I'm live. And I'm also live on TikTok. So you've got me on YouTube and TikTok, and I'm going to be doing the part 2 to what we were speaking about earlier, and that's mother wounds. What I will say is if you want to, put things in the chat, this is very interactive space. I do encourage everybody to put their thoughts, and if you want to say things, please do put it in the chat. Just because I'm talking about something, it doesn't mean that I can't answer your questions. All right, so I'm Leah Lauder. I spent 18 years in a mega church cult, and now I'm out and I expose church cults, and we formed a worldwide collective in where we're a group of survivors all around the world, and I hold the space on the lives, and I teach cult psycho ed things which help people to kind of wake up and realize that they're in cults, and it also helps us survivors to deconstruct, deprogram, validate us, etc. All right, so I am going to be talking about high control parenting dynamics, okay? Because a lot of us would have experienced this in a high control group, even if our parents aren't like this, because we take on the pastor, the LP, the first lady, whatever, as our mother and father. It's like part of the requirement to be loyal, or whatever it is, whatever requirement they're looking for in the church cult. That's what you're going to be doing up. Yeah. So we're going to be looking at the psychological and theoretical breakdown of spiritual bypassing, hyper-religiosity, and disorganized attachment. All right, so here we go. So to understand the toxic parenting inside a high control group, we've got to look at the intersection of spiritual bypassing and attachment theory, because we need to understand our childhood trauma in order to move forward and begin to heal. So part of this is looking at spiritual bypassing, so we can understand when this has been done, because a lot of survivors have feelings of like neglect and rejection, abandonment, etc. And it's like it makes us more vulnerable. Hey Jay, I'm so glad to see you on. And we had a really good live earlier, guys. It's on YouTube. You can go and watch it on YouTube. It was really good. I got curly hair. All right. So the psychologist John Welwood described spiritual bypassing as the practice of using spiritual ideas, defense mechanisms, or practices to evade facing unresolved emotional wounds, psychological trauma, and developmental needs. And when you throw mental health into the mix of this, how is a child ever going to get parented? How? Because the parent will then go into religious psychosis, and then it will just be like scriptures. Do you know what I mean? Like just like scripted. So you never really get what you need to fulfill your emotional needs. And it's all the cult's fault. It's all the church cult's fault. It's all their fault. All right, so when a mother is trapped within a high control system, her parenting style frequently morphs into a disorganized or anxious ambivalent attachment pattern. Okay, the mother is chronically dysregulated. She lacks the internal emotional architecture to offer consistent co-regulation to her children. And that's really important, guys. Remember, I was talking about like emotional immaturity, and when a parent is dysregulated, then that energy will project onto the children and they become dysregulated. Okay, so for the mother to cope with her own unhealed trauma and the crushing demands of the cult, she weaponizes hyper-religiosity. That's why they make the children obedient, disciplined. It's like an army, because they don't want you to ask them questions outside of what they're talking to you about. That's why everything's like spoken when you're spoken to. But what if there's someone who's a PDF? What if you've got a bad fit? Do you know what I mean? Like, children are so in tune with like spiritual things and God. And it's like in these spaces, kids just they're like the bottom of the pile after cleaning the church cult, them ones. Where did I go? Okay. Did I say the rage? Okay. Instead of a natural maternal bond, the relationship becomes transactional and highly conditional. The mother oscillates between terrifying spiritual rage and intense, suffocating religious devotion. So that's like the hyper-religiosity. And it becomes so much like, I remember when I was working for a hospice and there was a young person that was unaliving from cancer, and they were just refusing to believe it. When I went to the house, guys, it was just like hoarded. Like it had so much like like church cult resources, like all of the pamphlets, and they were piled up in the house. And automatically, like when I'm looking back, I'm thinking, wait, if there was an FIRE to happen, that is going to be major obstruction. How will people get out of the house? But people don't think like that. You want to explain? What do you mean? Are you saying you want to explain religious psychosis, or you want me to explain religious psychosis? Oh wait, hold on. So basically, you never got parented, guys, because the whole time it was just the need of the cult leader. I remember I had a survivor come on here and she was saying like she was so resentful because she never got shoes, never got things she needed because the church cult always came first. Queen Nance in the car, thank you for your gifts. Someone asked about religious psychosis. So I want to say it's not a formal psychiatric diagnosis, because if it were, then we just say that everybody who has religious ideologies would be in spiritual psychosis, which I think is true. But it's controversial, isn't it? So, but rather a descriptive term for psychotic symptoms like hallucinations and delusions that incorporate spiritual or religious themes. So that's when we get people, delusional. We get them. I can't remember what the name is, but there's a name they call it. It's not exactly seizures and epileptic fits, but they go into that. Yeah. It often manifests as intense beliefs of being a chosen prophet, demonic possession, or receiving direct commanding messages from deities. So you can, it's because, guys, I'm not going to lie. I just think that majority of the aunties in these spaces have really bad mental health. I'm not even going to lie, guys. Mother's hope. You see, when guys, do you know what this time is? I think a lot of people are coming to the Miss L Rose, hi, sweetie. I think a lot of people are coming to the realization that my mother has like a lot of mental health issues, but it's never been diagnosed. Hey, Curvy Vibe. Do you know what I mean? Like, guys, this is how we have to shift our thinking to, because for a lot of us, it's affected us so much in different areas of our life, because this is going to be held in like the subconscious. Remember, I spoke to you about the iceberg, yeah, and all of the real issues being under the water. So we have to unearth those, yeah, and low self-esteem and self-worth. Oh, and you know what? The women that are in these spaces, there's no femininity. Like when you go into these spaces, they're like cold brick wall. There's no feminine touch. Like, do you know what I mean? Like they always do like balloons instead of like flowers, and you know what I mean? Like anything to raise that vibration, boy. They ain't having it. You just get air and plastic. You gonna get some balloons and wow. Thank you, Queen Nance. Like even that, like fresh flowers, like to do something like that, that's a real investment. Do you know what I mean, Nana? That's a real investment in the people, because we're coming in, we're seeing fresh flowers. They've been arranged. Flowers are more expensive than just getting some cheap balloons and blowing them up. Guys, they spend like 0p. On the events, like everything is like the labor. It's the labor of the members. Yeah. They don't spend money on anything. If they go into a new building and they need to renovate it, everyone in the church court is going to pull together and get it done. Seldom do they bring someone else in to come and deliver services, because they're closed groups, man. They're closed groups that act like they're open groups, but they only accept you and let you in when you abide to their laws and rules. And that's on period, point blank. All right. Okay. I'm just going to get back onto what we were talking about. Transactional. All right. So, to cope with her own unhealed trauma and crushing demands of the cult, she weaponizes hyper-religiosity. Instead of a natural maternal bond, the relationship becomes transactional and highly conditional. Hey, Delisha. So, a lot of you guys wouldn't have felt mothered, okay? Because it's just like religious jargon being thrown at you. And a lot of you guys would have felt confused because they're so religious, but they're putting hands on you. They're so religious, but they're being EVIL. Do you know what I mean? There's women who haven't stepped foot in a church a day in their life and they mother their children better. Do you know what I mean? They show more love and they haven't read a scripture a day in their life. Yeah. Reading scriptures and going to these establishments do not make you holy. They do not change you. They do not. This is why we have all the trauma. This is why we're talking about it now. Okay. Oh God, I keep losing where I am. Okay. The mother oscillates between terrifying religious spiritual rage and intense suffocating religious devotion. For the child, this creates a profound psychological paradox. The parent is simultaneously the source of fear and the supposed source of safety. So what does that mean, guys? The child's going to be in fight or flight, constantly in survival, and they lose themselves. I've seen beautiful aunties change into frumpy women. Oh, Nana, you're so right. Look at me, babe. I walked in the church cult, beautiful young woman in her 20s, had so much going for me. So much going for me. So many opportunities that they just take it all away from you because everything's EVIL, isn't it? Everyone's going to HELL. They lose their start, everything. Babe, they lose their whole identity. They put on the pseudo personality of the first lady and they'll be up underneath her batty crease. That's what happens, Cher. Do you know what I mean? And then it's the voice of the cult leader that's raising the child. And that's why the children become so. Allegedly, my cult leader's son, David Eward Mills, unalived himself. Do you know what I mean? So I've heard horror stories like, and I don't care if Sam wants to go into Samantha. Do you know what I'm saying? I don't have a problem with it. I love that community. However, in these spaces, they just see it as EVIL. Yeah. So I've seen a lot of pastors' kids go that way as well. Do you know what I'm saying? And it's because they didn't get a chance to like express their true authenticity. So when they come out, and they're expressing themselves, they're finding themselves. Yeah. So the mother bypasses the human element of parenting, empathy, listening, and emotional validation. And sometimes they'll buy a lot of things as well. EKSJ in the car. I used to like overcompensate and buy my kids like a lot of stuff because you feel bad. By outsourcing her authority to a higher power, rendering her emotionally abusive or neglectful behavior completely untouchable. And that's the thing, guys. It's always a higher power. Do you know what I mean? When the child's behavior is getting really bad, that it's disrespectful, this and that, they'll be saying, oh, I'm praying. I'm going to give it to God. No, you need to take practical steps to find out what's wrong with your child and investigate in that. Do you know what I mean? And the thing is, everything is energy. So instead of these parents completely disassociating, doing up their spiritual bypassing by locking themselves in their room and praying in tongues for hours, how can a child have a relationship with a father who's doing that constantly? All right, guys, is this making sense? Are you feeling alive? I'm tired though, guys. I'm not going to make this one too long, but I wanted to come back on and just because we had like a lot of conversations around the topic, but I didn't pin down like the core theoretical points. So this is what I want to do today. And I hope it's helping, guys. Like, you know, my hope is that this will always help. Yeah. Cultic systems rely heavily on hermeneutical distortion. And this is the practice of pulling ancient texts entirely out of their historical, cultural, and linguistic context to justify systemic domestic violence and abuse control. And this is what I was saying, guys. Like with the scriptures, you get the book on its own, which I don't believe is infallible. And then on top of that, they start to take scriptures outside of that and then they create their own doctrines which are really harmful and dangerous. And that's when we're moving into, I mean, the whole thing is indoctrination, but this is like colonization of them. Well, they both are, but it's a higher level. Okay, what I'm going to say is you get a higher level of exposure to coercive control, gaslighting, because what people don't realize is the impact that gaslighting has on you. That's why it's like part of the, you know, when you look at the Domestic Abuse Act and whatever, I think coercive control and gaslighting's in there. That can turn someone like MAD, because every time we sit down and we think we're listening to a sermon, do you know what I mean? It's just bare gaslighting. Because most of the time they'll be talking about people's private business anyway. You know how it goes. The mother uses literalism to absolve herself above the guilt, reframing the physical or emotional putting hands on of her children as an act of holy obedience. And I wanted to focus on some core scriptures, because when I was thinking about this with Gemini, I was like, there are scriptures that they use to condone this kind of behavior. The first one is Hebrews 12:6. For whom the Lord loveth, he chasteneth. I'm not going to go into all of it, but in a cult setting, this text is twisted to mean that love must be accompanied by physical pain or severe punishment. The child is systemically conditioned to associate love with violence and violation. All right. And also it gives them an excuse to abuse you and psychologically like put hands on you. Do you get it? Have you heard of CRC? No, wait, give me the whole name. Hey, Queen Kiko, give me the whole name, babe. Then we've got Proverbs 13:24. He that spareth his rod hateth his son, but he that loveth him chasteneth him. Yeah. So I have heard of Christian Revival Church. Yes. What are you telling me, babe? This is the core scripture that they use, Proverbs 13:24, to abuse us. So they will take us into a room, gaslight us, like beat us down, like psychologically. I don't think you lot understand what it does to the brain. Yeah, like just a lot of breaking down. It's very, very low vibrational. So by the time you come out, you feel very heavy, very tired, and it really does impact on your internal organs. Like Ava said, oh, very similar to RPF. Are you a survivor? Then we've got Proverbs 23:13-14. Because if you're a survivor, I'd then be interested in looking at it. Withhold not correction from the child. For if thou beatest him with the rod, he shall not unalive. Thou shalt beat him with the rod and shalt deliver his soul from hell. I didn't even know this was in there. So this scripture is oh God, this is fear, isn't it? This is a fear tactic. This scripture introduces an existential terror into the child's psychology. The abuse is framed as a literal rescue mission from an eternal damnation, stripping the child of their right to protest or protect their own bodily autonomy. So all of that bodily autonomy gets stripped from you. When you're in these spaces, you will feel like they own you. I wouldn't say survived, but I left after hearing others. Ooh, all right. If you want to tell me other stories, because I have heard of this CRC, you know. I need to start coming back in and doing like the little thing, but I'm gonna have to just check my mailboxes, like have, you know, like moderation, because before I think I was just doing too much. But I don't care. No, but I need to get a bit better. You know them ones, Miss Blacklisted in the car. I need to get a bit better, you know, because losing my legs, guys, it's been really scary. I'm starting to take steps. I'm starting to take blood clot steps. Are you all right? And I'm starting to get a little bit more confident on my feet. So I'm getting there, but I'm still using the walker. I can't do big walks. I need a wheelchair. That's the thing. I'm going to get my mobility scooter. Gonna be on the road. I can't even drive, guys. I can't even drive. Not because I don't want to, not because I can't get a car, but because my legs. Oh, thanks, Delisha. You're such a queen. All right. So by using these exact texts, the parent, have I already read this? The parent resolves their own cognitive dissonance. They are no longer the abusive parent. They are no longer EVIL. They are a holy executioner protecting the child's eternal soul. Thanks, Delisha. So they're just MAD. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like, this is religious psychosis. But then we could argue, is the text, why did they do it, man? Why did they do it? Was it to control the slaves? Was it to put the fear of God in them so that they would obey? I mean, come on. I became an absolute slave. I don't care what anybody says. I don't care. I know the truth. Thanks for the follow, Delisha. I know the truth. All right. Let's look at, guys, this is a good one. I know you're going to love this. The tyranny of the first lady and the abdication of motherhood. Let's get it. So in the architecture, the setup of a religious cult, the biological mother is stripped of her parental autonomy and rights. And this is absolutely criminal. She does not actually parent her children. Instead, she functions as an unsalaried middle manager executing the orders of the cult leader and, crucially, the first lady. So it's the first lady and the cult leader parenting through the mother. So it's no longer her. The children, do you understand how much of a terrifying experience that must be for a child? It's not their mum anymore. Mum. Lord, I just want to say, for every child that's been through this, my heart absolutely goes out to you. Like, from the bottom of my blood clot heart. My heart is bleeding for you. Yeah? But this is also a community where we heal. And we are not alone. We are not alone. Yeah? So the first lady, the leadership of these high control systems typically exhibits a combination of malignant narcissism, a term defined by psychoanalyst Kernberg as a toxic mix of narcissism, antisocial behavior, aggression, and sadism, and Machiavellianism. Oh my God, what is wrong with me, man? Yeah? And this is characterized by cold, calculated manipulation and a cynical disregard for morality. So in the past, where we laugh at what aunties and uncles say, because it's aces, it could be, it's just, it's so offensive and ignorant and arrogant. But we laugh and but here we see it. This is cold, calculated, like they know what they're doing. They're not that DUMB. So we really do have to question, like, do you know what I mean? What is the intent behind it? There's a certain someone on here, you know yourself. I'm gonna message you soon. If you still are here. So and do you know what else as well? Like, they just become like a cold robot, and there's a lack of empathy, like that lack of morality. So the child comes, Mommy, I hurt my leg. Oh, come on, get up. You're strong. In the name of Jesus, you can do all things through Christ who strengthens you. The child is never mothered. They're never mothered. They're never mothered. And what I'm starting to realize, and I think this is why God brought me to this realization, like, of these mother wounds, because we all have them, don't we? In some sort of way. Some wounds are more severe than others. Some have been able to heal, and others are still an open wound. Don't traumatize me. I know, girl, I know. And, this is a topic that is really deep. I'm not going to lie, Nance. It's deep, because when it comes to the mother wounds, having to accept that the only person that should have your back and be with you no matter what ain't showing up for you and ain't there for you is gut-wrenching. This is why I'm getting us up out of the pit, and I'm saying, like, we don't need no one in it. Like, me, myself, and I. You've got to just have that attitude, babes, because you've got to be strong for you. For I need more water. My mum said we used to downplay church. Me and my cousins used to pretend to be the pastor. We used to, I think that's a miss. But are you saying you'd get in trouble for, like, mimicking the pastor? Because in that film, that Unchosen film that I watched, the little girl had a little comic and the woman called her EVIL. We had to go through to evolve out of it. I like that. Absolutely. And you know what, change vibration, I absolutely, like, agree, because it's hard, it's really, really tough, but at the end of the day, the woman that I'm becoming, I absolutely love. Do you know what I mean? I absolutely love the woman that I'm becoming. And even though, you know, all of the shadow work I've had to do, you know, being in the void of the situation, you know, out of that void, like birth, you know, comes the light. We used to pretend, okay, used to pretend to play church. Oh, okay, I get you now, my love. Okay, so the biological mother is deeply conditioned to fear the disapproval of the first lady more than she values the emotional well-being of her child. The first lady enforces the micro regulations of the cult's lifestyle. She dictates the standards of modesty, hair length, appropriate clothing, media restrictions. So in my church cult, we couldn't listen to worldly music. And isolationist educational methods such as hyper-controlled homeschooling. But a lot of them can't do the homeschooling because they work like a DOG. Do you know what I mean? They've barely got any time as it is, like laving it out to just make ends meet and give their tithe. It's just, is that all life is? Just to be like poor. Do you know what I mean? And just be going to the, and when you see the countries, yeah, and the demographic of people who are so like into it, I mean, you can see what it is, guys. It's like 2026 now. And I think a lot of it is just mental health. A lot of it is mental health. So, you know, like people are waking up and they're saying, you know, this type of behavior is not normal. And I absolutely agree. Why is the auntie standing outside of wherever, do you know what I mean, tube station, and doing up shouting at 6 a.m. in the morning? Do you know what I mean? Ain't you got some kids? Do you know what I mean? Like, and this is my point. A lot of them street people, yeah, they're running away from themselves. Like all their responsibilities, everything, they're just gone. Hey, Bex, I'm not going to let them people make me lose my faith. Oh, I like that. And you shouldn't. The faith and the way you see things may metamorphosize and transform and change. And that can be really, really, really tough. Like when you look at the caterpillar and the cocooning phase, to, you know, to become that glorious butterfly, there's so much that we have to go through before. Do you see what I mean? But as you're saying, change vibration, I absolutely agree with you. It's all part of the process. Yeah. And I think having a positive outlook on it, I always say, let's see the glass half full before we see it half empty. But when the half empty comes, the instant reaction, that hit, you know, you're always going to like cry or be angry or whatever. You release it. You release the emotion. But then there needs to be spiritual practices to ground you. You can't just sit there wallowing away in self-pity the whole day. I know how mental health is, guys. I've been battling mental health my whole blood clot life. I've got EUPD, emotional unstable personality disorder, CPTSD, might have autism and ADHD, chair. So I get it, but you know, like you've got to train yourself, like you've got to train your body. Even when you can't move from the bed, then what do you do? Because for me, it's about my surroundings. So you can see it doesn't look like your ordinary home. And it's not supposed to be, is it? It's not supposed to be your ordinary home because I'm here majority of the time. So I need to feel like I'm going into another realm. I need to have all of the things around me. When I wake up in the morning, I see these things and I feel happy. Do you know what I mean? Before, when I had my legs, I'd always have fresh flowers on my altar. I'd always have, do you know what I mean? But I love dried flowers. So I've got lots of lovely bouquets of dried flowers. I've made lots of sculptures, just made the space mine. So it's like an escapism for me. I'm an EFT practitioner and run religious anxiety tapping sessions to tap out the fear of cults. What's EFT? Are you in this country? Guys, I need my water. Princess! Guys, I've got to, give me 1 sec. I'm going to pause this. I don't know. How do I pause YouTube? How do I mute it? Can I mute? Oh, I can. My God, you lot, this whole time you could mute YouTube. Oh my God, I'm sweating like a pig. Emotional freedom technique. Wow. So we've got an actual qualified practitioner here saying that he runs religious anxiety tapping sessions. And do you know what's crazy? You know, like DV survivors like myself, like I get like these things where I just start jumping, my legs, I can't control it. I've got absolutely no control of it, and it just happens, especially when like I think about certain events or times. It just, my body just starts going mad. Oh, what is going on with my hair? Hello. All right. It's a group session and we tap it out of our nervous system. Wow. Are you in the UK? That sounds amazing. Oh my God. Tapping out that trauma. Tap, 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 tap. I'm not gonna lie. I think like in a way, like I think I needed this to happen because I just needed to be calmed down a little bit. Thank you, princess. Good job. All right. What part are we on, kings and queens? All right, we're on the groomed child. No, we're here. All right. So I remember things like, when the fidget spinners were big, my LP said to me, basically, don't give them to my kids because they're for kids with autism, and you know the rest. Yeah. So she was trying to say, like, don't give that to your kid because they believe it's like DEVIL, etc. So you have to remember they've got those like hyper religious, like, very false narratives and like very skewed ideologies. Do you know what I mean? Like, I saw this girl that made a post and she was saying, like, how can you come up to me and say you're going to pray for me and like all of this stuff's going to go away? She was like, is my bipolar going to go away? Is my thing? And she's got all these things underneath her, like wires. And she's saying, like, this is like scientifically proven. She's like breaking down the genetics of this and that. And I'm like, it's so true. But again, thank you, Jean. But again, this is the spiritual bypassing. Isn't it just easier to say DEVIR? Isn't it easier to just say Jezebel than admit that there's a problem in the church cult? They're full of preds and men that eat out of the great bowl. So isn't it best to it's just easier if we call them Jezebels, isn't it? Because then it's going to be an us problem, and it's not an us problem because it can't be, because it's us versus them. So do you know what I mean? Like, and that's why there's always that element of us versus them. That structure keeps the cult alive. Do you know what I mean? Especially when they discard people and push them out. Yes, that's what it's called. They discard you. And do you know what was crazy? Yeah, like being discarded in these environments is, I would say, it's a heightened exposure. Because if you were doing, like, we call them front facing roles, so like singing, maybe leading the prayer, whatever, and then all of a sudden you're not there and you're replaced. It's like that. They do these things to like publicly humiliate you. So they give you the roles to take the roles from you. Then they create this self-sealing system where your whole life revolves around this group. You're not doing anything outside of it. All of your hobbies, everything. And then the validation, they're so desperate for the validation from the mog. Please like the live, guys. They're so desperate. Do you understand what I'm saying? That they just lose themselves and they just turn into a robot. They don't know how to make decisions. I remember when I come out of the cult and I went to Specsavers to go and choose a pair of glasses, and I was crying in the shop. I was crying in the shop because I didn't know what glasses to choose. And I know it seems like something really small, guys, but it just hit me at that moment, like, oh my God, like, I'm 30 whatever years of age and I can't pick a pair of glasses. I have no like ability to make my own decisions. Thank God they pushed them out. They've done them a favor. Yeah, sometimes they get pushed out, or sometimes they just discard them within the setting. So they, the woman could become a wife, and then, she could get health issues and not be able to, do what she used to do. Because you've got to remember, as people get older, they have kids. Do you know what I mean? And they're constantly like comparing us to the young people. And there's competition and a lot of triangulation. So my cult leader says, pregnancy is not a disease. Like, that's his slogan. So for anyone running around in these streets saying that it's not a cult, you just look like an idiot. Because what man in his right mind is going to say pregnancy isn't a disease? Oh, okay. So because pregnancy isn't a disease, we're expected to come back after 4 weeks. We got 4 weeks maternity leave, and then we would be back in the church cult. You'd be back leading the choir, leading the whatever. I remember when I sprained my foot, I was in crutches leading the choir chair. And it's like they look at these things like it's like you're valiant, and these are the things that they want you to do to prove your loyalty. Because remember, like, spirituality is invisible, we can't touch it, or you know what I mean. So this is where the performative Christianity comes into it. Do you understand what I'm saying? Because they're gonna judge your performance. So you come to the prayer meetings, tick, service, tick. So that's not how God works. God doesn't work with systems and structures, and God doesn't like that, because there's no freedom, there's no liberty in that. And where the spirit of God is, there is liberty, there is freedom. Yeah, I can sing. You've got me feeling emotions higher than I ever dreamed of. You've got me feeling emotions higher than I ever dreamed of. Little Mariah in my pocket. If I should stay, I'm gonna follow you just to hear you sing. I'm gonna start, like, as the time goes on, I'm gonna start doing, like, like, I want to do it, like, singing and get a little mic and sit down in my beautiful ball gowns, because I've got so many nice dresses. I'm not gonna be going anywhere, so I just want to, like, sit on my walker or get the hospital bed up, and just sit there and just sing beautiful songs, lots of jazz. Summertime and the living is easy. Fish are jumping and the cotton is high. Oh, your daddy's rich and your mama's good looking. So hush, little baby, don't you cry. Our little Sunday, that's our little Sunday worship. All right. So we're understanding that the mother abdicates all of her parental responsibilities because it's the cult leader's wife and the cult leader, thanks for the follow, my love, and the cult leader that are controlling all of her parenting. Okay. And when they conform, that's when they get the rewards. Okay. All right. So I've done this bit. Now we're going to get on to the groomed child, adultification and parentification. Please like up the live, guys. They come on here to get me off. I expose loads of church cults worldwide. So we have to come together on TikTok and make sure that we protect the live, because when I get a restriction, I gotta go. All right. So within structural family theory, this is really important, guys. High control religious environments are notorious for violating healthy generational boundaries through parentification and adultification. So I want to explicitly say here that the child in a cult is not allowed a normative developmental childhood. They are groomed strictly to serve as a functional asset for the collective. So when you look at the life cycle of an individual, and then you look at the developmental milestones that that child is supposed to take, they're not taking those milestones because they're being groomed. Hey, girl, they're being groomed to be a certain way. So the social learning is different and skewed. They're being put in positions because they have, like, they mimic the adult services, and they'll have them, like, my eldest was going into, like, juniors, and they were getting them to, like, learn whole songs and write out, like, big bits of the scriptures, and she had to revise. Like, it was really, it was a lot of pressure, man. And that's what it is. There's a lot of pressure to be perfect. I think I call it, like, this performative perfection, which is, really unrealistic, unattainable goals that the ordinary average Joe just couldn't achieve. And to put that expectation and pressure on someone is just absolutely nonsensical. All right. So parentification occurs when the child is forced to provide emotional or physical caregiving for their overwhelmed, traumatized parents or younger siblings. Yeah. So a lot of you guys have been parents to your younger siblings because your mum was more interested at being at, the Friday night prayer. So a lot of you lot have been left young to have to cook, to have to do a lot of things. And that's why when these kids come into these church cults, they're further exploited because their parents at home are already GROOM in them to be the lave of the house. And them women, they really, really, really do get used and abused. And they're usually like a little skivvy for the LP, like the first lady, yeah? They become the emotional anchors for the adults in the system. It's so bad. Adultification occurs when the child is prematurely exposed to adult concepts, spiritual warfare panic, and intense institutional responsibilities. So telling a child they're going to go to HEOL for listening to a little bit of worldly music or whatever because you said it's not allowed. This is when we start to get the adultification. Also, the intense institutional responsibilities. Why is a 14-year-old a Bacenta leader and got a spreadsheet on her room and ticking off 20 people, this people, that people? She's up and down, going here, there, and everywhere. What happened to your studies, babe? Are you revising for your exams? Is it SATs? But here you are outside and you're going to be failing it. What's the difference with a girl being outside bunning with some guys, like just being on the ends, like and then she's not doing well at school, to being in these systems and she fails because she's out doing outreach? How is it different? How is it different? Oh, because someone's bunning, that makes it sin, that makes it bad. Make it make sense. We're looking at the outcome here. When this battery unalives, because this iPad is so human fecal matter, I'm gonna just freestyle because it just freezes. It's just rubbish. The neuroscience and social deficits of pastors' kids. So I started speaking to Gemini and having a conversation, just like, the PKs are really strange and they exhibit a lot of strange behavior. I don't think that they do well in social environments outside of the high control group. Because they're so isolated from the outside world, they can't fit into popular culture. I'm not saying you need to go to a nightclub and be shaking your, you know what I'm saying? But they're so disconnected from the real world. Well, anyway, back in the day, now they're just running riot. But there's going to be certain rules, and even if they're doing stuff outside of the high control group, they could never be your true self. I know someone who's clearly he's so camp. Do you know what I mean? So, but he can't come out. Do you know what I mean? Because the family is just hyper religious. They're just they're in a distorted reality. How about that? Because this guy, it doesn't get more happy than him. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like everybody can see that this ninja definitely, he there. But imagine how that must feel to. That's you. That's who you are. But that's not accepted because of, like the old school, like mindsets that they have. Do you know what I mean? Like that it's like reputation means everything in some of these families that behave like family cults. Reputation means everything. And it's still very old school when you're dealing with certain countries in the world and certain cultures. So there's certain people who just can't come out. They just can't come out. They're with their big grown self. They can't come out as a big grown ass man. Do you know what I mean? Like that, like guys, it's serious. Like you see these family cults and these church cults and these high control groups, they can be controlling your life well into your 40s. You've got 40-year-old men acting like 16-year-old boys because it's giving enmeshment, and it's like emotional incest. So that individual can never have, like, none of the kids can never have like stable, healthy relationships. They can't have stable, healthy, committed relationships. They just can't. It lasts for a bit and then it crumbles because the foundation, they weren't mothered. So they're on a foundation of lies, especially in certain countries that begin, like the one that begins with A and ends in A. It's like everything's repetition. What you do, or don't wear that, don't do that, don't do this, don't do that, don't do this. Do you know how many girls I know from that part of the country, that have had terminations like at 15, 14? because the mum's so strict and they can't chat to the mum. They weren't able to chat to the mum about parts of the body and schmegs and things like that. So what happens? They go and end up getting pregnant at 15 years old. That's what happens. So, oh gosh, do you know what? This is frustrating me. It's like, what's the point in having an iPad chair? There is a distinct observable pattern of developmental and social arrest frequently seen in pastors' kids. I'm going to be using the acronym PKs, or children of high-ranking leadership. To outside observers, these children often appear socially awkward, rigid, or developmental lagging. So you might think they're autistic or on the spectrum, something like that. This is not inherent cognitive defect. I don't know whether it was deficit or defect. It is a direct result of environmental isolation and artificial social psychology. So all of the social interactions, everything is controlled, is scripted. We're told to be nice to the pastor's kids. We're told to beg it. You got like big grown-ass women like in their 30s, like, do you know what I mean? Like kissing the buttercrease of the PKs. Leah, you'll tell my life story right now. Oh, the cult stole so much from me. One day I'll share my experiences. One day you will, Miss Elrose, in the right time, my lovely. And do you know what? As I said to you, this is just the beginning. There's survivors that are bubbling up to speak. I can feel it. I used to hate the PK at my ex-church. Literally would bully me. Jay, you've been through it, man. Jay, we need to have a conversation, don't we? I think we need to talk, man. You've been through it, babes. Oh my God. You know, when you see people coming on here, supporting, liking the live, I never really understand. And then as the time goes on, that's why we can't put a time on this, man. Because we've been through a lot. Even guys, what is happening now is just nothing share of a miracle. It's a miracle. It's a miracle. All of us still in our right mind, coming on here, the movement, how we've all found each other, how it all, it's just a miracle. And never forget that. Never forget that you're a miracle. Never forget that you're still standing. Never forget that you chose to love yourself and get back up each and every time, guys. Never forget it. You are loved. You are so loved. And you need to know that, okay? And if nobody ain't gonna love you, love your damn self. You gotta learn. You gotta learn to love yourself. You gotta learn to stand on your own 2 feet and pick your you pick your heart from the floor and put it back. You need to learn how to do heart surgery. You need to learn how to do spiritual heart surgery, so nobody can come and then they remove things and you don't know where everything is, and then the heart is broken. The heart is broken. Do you understand? I'm so sorry, Jay, that you were getting BULLY'd by them. And I know they have like their cliques. It's very clicky. And it's like they like push people out. They won't invite you to certain things. Like if someone has a birthday, they won't like include you in certain groups, is it like that? It's just the same thing over and over again. That's bullying and isolation. And that's the worst type of BULLY you can get. People just ignoring you, like you just don't exist. But they can also be really what do you call it? Is it microaggressive? Microaggression. Those microaggressions, do you get what I'm saying? Like they're very, very good at that. So the PKs run things, especially like, in the youth, like where the youth is at the churches, it's like you have to get in with them. And it's like it's clicky. So it's all the PKs and then the high ranking members' kids. Do you understand what I'm saying? Oh my gosh, literally exactly that. Definitely, I will share my story one day. Look, Miss Elrose. And guys, I think the next Survivor Link Up is going to be like really life-changing for us. Because I feel like there's going to be like a lot more survivors that haven't come out to Survivor Link Ups before that will come out to Survivor Link Ups, yeah? Because, guys, the truth is we do need a community. Do you know what I mean? And there's a lot of people that I see coming on and chatting here and I think, oh my God, they would make such good friends with so-and-so because I've met people. Do you know what I mean? So we'll have that very soon. and we're gonna get into it. All right. So from a social psychological perspective, and Jay, it's gonna be when you're ready, my love. When the time is right, that's when you'll share your story, babe. Do you get it? And it will help so many people. The cult community operates on Goffman's theory of impression management. The entire congregation engages in a hyper-vigilant performance of compliance, which involves a tactic known as fawning, aka begging it with the leadership. Because the pastor's children represent the spiritual crown, jewel of the ministry, next heir in line to the throne. The community over accommodates them, so overcompensates, showering them with artificial praise. It's all fake if you're on here and you're a PK. Nothing's real, sweetie. Nothing's real. That's why when you go into the real world, you don't get that same reception. Yeah? Okay. Unearned deference and intense superficial coddling. The PKs are worshipped. They're worshipped. They're given special treatment. They're given, and that's why when they're preds and they're sayers, they just do what they want. You know, like Bishop Joshua, allegedly. Yeah, he's ruined a lot of girls. He's broken a lot of hearts in his day. I'll just tell you that. Yeah. Neuroscientifically, this artificial echo chamber disrupts the healthy development of the prefrontal cortex and the mirror neuron system. And we've spoken about like the different parts of the brain, the amygdala, I can't remember what's what, the hippocampus, if I've said it right. And, you know, parts of the brain that can preempt danger, and not just physical danger, but spiritual danger. So the ability, you know, to be in tune when something's off, or do you know what I mean? That ability gets taken away from us. And now we're just sitting next to leaders or whatever that are eating out of the great bowl, essayers, this, that, and the third. But because of the rewiring and the damage of the brain, we're like slow. We don't. It takes us so long to like figure things out, and then we become like naive, like a baby. Do you know what I mean? It's like people take their brain out, leave it in the box, and then come in. It really does feel like that. True social intelligence, empathy, and True social intelligence, empathy, and complex relational skills are developed in childhood through diverse, low-stakes pair interactions, navigating organic pair conflict. Even that, to be able to resolve pair conflict and all of that, they have no experience because everyone's nice to them. As you like, whatever you want, as you like. It's all fake. And learning to manage rejection in the world. They can't manage it. In a cult, these children are completely isolated from the real world, and their internal community interactions are entirely curated and policed because people can't say certain things. Do you know what I mean? It's like it's bounded choice. Everything's monitored and surveillance. If you say something that you're not supposed to say to a pastor's kid, you're going to get reported, innit? And you're going to get special treatment as well, like to go to the pastor's house, be up. Do you know what I mean? They experience zero organic social friction. Everyone accommodates them to appease their parents, to get favor from their parents, whatever. They don't even like them more time. When these children eventually step outside of the cult perimeter, their brain literally lacks the neural pathways required to process complex, secular social dynamics. They cannot read standard social boundaries. Doesn't this sound like aunties? They are hypervigilant to perceived judgment, and they often present with a state of social paralysis or mimicking neurodivergent traits, such as profound executive dysfunction. Let me do the puzzle. Profound executive dysfunction and sensory overload, because the real world does not play by the artificial rules of the cult. The real world doesn't play by the artificial, made up rules of the cult. In the real world, if you look at someone a certain way, or you like impose or force your beliefs onto someone else, you can get a very different reaction, my love. And even the air that they have, that they're that, and you know what I mean? They can't make organic relationships. And do you know what, guys? They have, like in my cult, they have university campuses. So it's not even like these PKs go to uni and they have real experiences with real friends. They are wrapped in cotton wool their whole life. The cult leader makes sure that their child goes to a university that has a strong first love society, a strong first love church cult. There'll be some sort of like strong bishop there, or do you know what I mean? They'll go to a church cult where there'll be other PKs so that they can watch over them. Thanks for the gift, Snap. That's what happens. So they have no real experiences of interaction. The only time they have experiences is when they're on outreach and they're just standing there grinning teeth. And they don't go on outreach all the time because oh God, it's God forbid anything happens to the cult leader's child. But our children can be out there come rain, sun, shine, frost, sleet, hailstone, thunderstorms. I remember having my buggy and a rain cover over and like doing that, that walk on for Good Friday that they do, holding up the cross and all that. What am I doing up in Peckham? And you gonna tell you gonna tell me that I'm okay all the way up? No. Something ain't right. I know that's right because something ain't right. That's probably where my ones are at now. What was I talking about, Jay? I can't even remember. But whatever you're saying, yes, I agree. All right. So let's look at the pendulum swing, extreme rebellion, and reactance. So when the psychological pressure of high control systems become unsustainable, the eventual escape often manifests as a catastrophic, volatile explosion into high risk behaviors, the classic pastor's kid rebellion. Thanks for the follow, Jen. Yeah. So it's that psychological pressure, guys. And also they're just so trapped. They've got to like release some way, yeah. And that's why we hear the most shocking stories about PKs. This phenomenon is explained by Brem's theory of psychological reactance. Let's get it. Reactance is the intense motivational arousal that occurs when an individual perceives that their fundamental freedoms are being severely threatened or eliminated. When a child has been under a microscopic regime of spiritual and physical interaction and restriction, remember that these households and these church cults, they operate like military. They operate like a army, okay? The sudden removal of these constraints causes the rubber band to snap violently to the absolute extreme. So on the other end of it, we've got PKs who come from smaller church cults. And so when they go into uni or they finally get out of the family house, they just go ham. They just go absolutely wild. This is explaining their extreme behavior. Because I know about, oh my God, I know 2 PKs that are trans now. I know loads that are part of the LGBTQ plus community, like well over, I'd say 30, well over 30. Because remember, there's a lot of DLs as well. And I'm going to put bi in there. If they're bi, I put them in that category as well. Why are they acting like it doesn't happen there? And it's not guanin. Do you know what I mean? Like, it very much is, baby. That's why I saw a post of a guy basically saying, that on the down low. So they're LGBTQ plus on the down low, babe. So basically, oh hey queen. So basically there's a lot of men in there who are married to women, like the guys, because I can't say all of the guys in the choir because some are just like, they're just forced in there, they don't even have a choice. But like the praise and worship leader or maybe the choir leader or something, they're always, you can just tell it's sad because I want to free them. Like I saw what did they change his name to? Malachi Minano. I can't even remember what his name's completely gone from me, but they say like the name was either Kwame or Quaker, something like that. Just change up the guy's name, yeah, shipped him out. They did the conversion therapy and that on him, and then they just shipped him out. And even when he was talking, this is years later, he's on a thing, I can still see the mannerisms. Like, do you know what I mean? Because you can't pray that away. You can't pray that away. And again, when we go to like science and all that, and to be honest, if you're a survivor and you're gay, embrace it. Why are you sitting in your house crying, man? Go out and be yourself. Do you know what I mean? Be free. The leaders are being free. They're eating out of the great bowl, essayers, teeth in. You might as well be free, baby. Do you understand what I'm saying? Trust me. What you're doing up compared to them is nothing. Absolutely nothing. And you lot know that I ride and bang out for my LGBTQ plus community. I love you guys. There is something so special about your community that resonates within me so deeply. And I want to go to New Orleans as well because of that. And I just want to say that I love you guys so much, man, because I can't imagine how hard it must have been. Like, as I said to you, I know someone very well who is clearly part of that community and they can't come out. Do you know what I mean? Imagine living your life like that. Like, you can't introduce the love of your life, like your boyfriend, like to your family members, and you've got to keep like your partner like secret. Do you know what I mean? And you're so in love and happy, and you just want to share it with the world, and you can't. You can't put up your real life. And there's so many people, they would have done so well. If they could have just been their true, authentic self, they would have done so well in life. But they can't be too out there. Do you know what I mean? Because then it's going to be like bringing shame onto the family and then the reputation stuff. So that's why, as soon as, especially the males, I noticed that the males get more like ABUSE. For some reason, the men just get it more. Like, if it's the women, oh, you know what just came into my head? Patriarchy and misogyny. Because remember, it's toxic masculinity. So when they're looking at two girls, they're like, nah, that's just you. Y'all just that's just the Jezebel spirit. Do you know, yeah, that there's a survivor that was telling me their story, yeah? And basically, like, say like there was a young girl in the church cult, yeah, that was like, I don't know, like 15 or whatever. And then the guy went in to have a conversation with his pastor and tell him that he was, you know, LGBTQ. And he just started rebuking him and telling him that he thought that he wanted to like get engaged to the young girl, and he would have preferred it if, like, he's not happy, but he would have preferred it if he was sleeping around with women rather than being LGBTQ. How does that work? What, like, how do we compartmentalize that to try and begin to understand that very warped way of thinking? How do we begin to unpack that? Because it makes no sense. And 99% of the time, what these geezers are saying when they're supposed to be giving us the word or whatever, it's just nonsensical human fecal matter. 4 hours of your life that you'd never get back. Do you know how much you can do in 4 hours? I was going to talk about money, and then something came in my head and said, Leah, don't even talk about money. Talk about the house, because a lot of them's yard, they need to go and clear it up. Yeah. When you're there so much, it's so hard to do the laundry, all the stuff that you've got to do. And the thing is, the women will do it because there's so much, they put so much pressure on the women to do it. If the women don't do it, they're a bad wife, and they're gonna make them stand up in front of everybody, and they're gonna just publicly humiliate them and psychologically beat them down. And then they're getting ABUSE deed from the husband and ABUSE from the leader. And that is why a lot of women stay in these marriages, and they stay in them until they get really bad. And some of them, unfortunately, aren't alive. Like, look at Osanachi, a Nigerian gospel singing treasure, national treasure. And you know what I found really profound about that story, because it was absolutely shocking. You look at Osanachi, and she is the epitome of what a Proverbs 31 wife should be. Like, she is that auntie. She looked lovely. Like, I didn't know her personally, obviously, but so sweet. How do you spell that? I think it's OSINACHI. But if anyone is on here and I've spelt it wrong, please do correct me. And you can type it in TikTok, babe. I did some content on it. It was just, and it was so hard for me to do the content. I cried because there was about, I think she had about 3 or 4 kids with the guy. And, you know, now the kids are left as orphans because the dad's got, like a sentence to be unalived, because you know how they are over there. They're in Nigeria, innit? So they just take it to the next level. Do you know what I mean? Like, and he was financially abusing her. She was giving him all of her money. That's what I used to do. She was giving him all of her money. So, you know, like when she was making all of, some of her songs have millions of views on YouTube. Do you know what I mean? But he would just give her like the money or buy the outfit for her to perform or whatever. That woman was living in poverty. She didn't see none of the money. And we only found out about how bad the ABUSE was after she's unalived. Can you imagine? But the women will still be there living with their husbands. And then you want to look at me and be like, oh, why is she talking? I'm talking because many women are getting unalived because of uncles that think that they could put their hands on their wives. Okay? Because it's culturally acceptable. Found her. Wow, she was really famous. Yeah, beautiful woman. But when you look back, like in her videos and stuff, and you look in her eyes, you can see, man, you can see it. You can see that she was like, you know, is giving battered wife. Like when you look back, like knowing what happened. But it was just shocking because the husband was a pastor as well. Surprise, surprise. Aren't we shocked, guys? Oh my God. All right. So, furthermore, and this is the last paragraph, and then so if you've got questions, guys, just get your questions ready, and then we'll just have a bit of freestyle, but not for too long, because you know I can't get to, because this is the main account chair. Furthermore, because these children were raised under extreme control, they were never allowed to develop an organic, internalized moral compass. And I'm sure that's got to do with, you know, like the prefrontal cortex, the amygdala. Do you know what I mean? Like the growth. Do you get it? Of the brain. And when you're not using certain parts of the brain, they're just gonna start to go to sleep, aren't they? It's like a bike that just gets rusty, but it looks like you can use it. It looks like it would be rideable, but it's so rusty you can't use it, and the back tire's flat. Yeah. So a lot of what's happening to us, all of the like the outcome, if you like, of the ABUSE, it's like invisible, because a lot of the time it's inside. Yeah. Because you can't see cancer like forming, but we all know that stress is the #1 unaliver. Hey, Alori. So stress metastasizes into sickness and disease and etc. Do you understand what I'm saying? That's why people in there are so ill. You're in there, you've been in there for so long. Like, what's changed? And for me, it's just, I remember when I came out and I was finding all these quotes online. And that's why one of my favorite Einstein quotes is, insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. You lot know I say it every blood clot time. Even as people are exposing them, they're coming in, they're like the rock of ages. They ain't gonna change. They ain't gonna change. They ain't gonna change. Yes, my love, I was sick, but do you know what, babe? Because like it's so ironic, because my ex-cult leader is that he qualified as a doctor in 1986. Like, my man is not a doctor anymore, innit? But it's just ironic that he's a doctor. He uses a lot of reverse psychology, and he talks a lot about like medical conditions and stuff. And another thing I want to point out with my cult is that there's a lot of doctors in my church cult, because Dag was a doctor and he started the cult in Corlebu, in the cafeteria, when he was in university. Okay. Or was it Achimoto? Because we used to have a script to read, you see. I know, that's why I can just go into Ghanaian anytime I want. Yeah. And so we had like good doctors, like specialist doctors. Like when I had preeclampsia, and they basically said that they'd have to put a steroid injection in my Betty. And I was really apprehensive, because I was like, I don't want to take anything, like da da da. And then I spoke to my pastor, and he said, I'm going to give you Reverend Joe's number, Reverend Joe Ajay. and you call him and see what he thinks, and he said, oh yeah, definitely take it. So again, it's just showing the control. Like if there's a meeting or there's a rehearsal and you've got a hospital appointment or a GP appointment, they're not gonna see it like, you know what I mean? They're gonna see it like you've not even that you've backslidden. It's that the show has to go on. The wheels of the machine have to keep turning. Why? Because recruitment is the lifeblood of the church cult. Sorry guys, I just have to take someone off. They're just giving, these checks. I don't cuss people anymore because this is my main account, babes. You ain't gonna get me on her. You ain't gonna get me on her. So their behavior, did I just stop talking about it, or did I need to talk about where I was sick, right? Yeah, so basically I got the injection, but because I wasn't going to the hospital, I wasn't taking the medication because I was believing in God, in it, like faith. So a lot of people believe in God, they don't take their medication, and then it gets really, really bad, to the point that I'm in now. Yeah. And another thing is people will be going to the hospital, getting checks, getting this done, that done, not realizing that the environment, the church cult is the problem. That's what's making their blood pressure go high. That's what's causing the fibromyalgia, the endometriosis, the adrenal crisis, the kidney disease. I've got chronic kidney disease, and I know that's because I used to have UTIs all the time, urinary tract infections, because you sit in like your underwear for too long. And you can't go to the toilet. Like a lot of the girls get a lot of like infections, and they don't like, and unless they're really bad, the show must go on. Do you know what I mean? So there's a lot of things, unattended things, that turn into bigger issues and bigger problems later on in life. Because when they're all young and having fun, they don't know if they can have kids, because that's all a woman's good for in there, really. That's what they believe. So it's when they start getting into that adulting that we start to see the real life pressures. I got more sick in there, and I was told to pray. Now that I think about it, they wanted me to, what did they want you to do? You know what? Yeah, there was a woman that had such a bad case of endometriosis. It's like one of the worst they've seen in the country. And they were just giving her bad advice, like wrong advice that made it even worse. So it was just in the body. It was just, her body was just attacking herself. Crazy. You see these people, what they've done. Remember I told you there's a survivor that has to take 25 tablets a day. 52 tablets a day. And I've got a Dosset box. I don't even know how many tablets I've got to take, but there's ones in each. Yeah. This is what they've done to me. This is what like old people have. Do you know what I mean? I shouldn't have this. Why do I have this? Why is it here? Because the way they rinsed me out, yeah, because even talking to someone on the phone for 2 hours because you want them to come to the church, then you got to do your uni work, then you got to do your part-time role, then you got to go and see your mum, then you got to, do you know what I mean? It takes its toll on the body. When someone's been used and abused, we start to see it in their face and ultimately their body. So I look young. Thank the Lord I got out of there in enough time to still be a mama. But my internal organs are operating like a 70 or 80-year-old. So that's why sometimes even, members' lives, their lifespan is cut short. A lot of, members that are young, like young adults in their 30s, in their 40s, they unalive. Didn't Bishop Oko unalive from a heart attack? Or am I? Allegedly. Another girl unalived from a like some sort of brain clot. Can you imagine that this girl was in the church at like 9 p.m. in the night cleaning it while she had a blood clot in her brain. And then she got home and the husband was like, wait for me. And the women are all obedient and submissive. By the time he got there, she was gone. And the men don't value the women. They just replace them and get another wife. They don't care. And have more kids. Knew an uncle that unalived on the toilet after service. Pardon me? Like years ago, Jay says. Do you know what, Jay? I'm not going to sit here and act like I'm shocked, because there is so many vulnerable people in these spaces, and there's just like no checks. Like, these spaces need to be run more like organizations, because it's like they're given the organization title, but they're not being held to the same standards that other institutions are being held against. And that's where I think the direction we need to go in. The best celebrities unalive before 50. Yeah, you're so right, Nance. Selena, Tupac, Michael Jackson. Yeah, clock it. Guys, it's ever so subtle. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, babe, like, there's so many survivors. Like, we got stuff coming, but I believe it's all in God's time, because I've still got to heal as well. I got to remember that I want to do all these great things, for the survivors, for myself. I want to do this, I want to do that, but I need to get better. I need to get well. And that's why the time that I've had off, I've had to look in that mirror and tell myself a lot of truths. Hey, Lil Shishi, I've had to look in that mirror and tell myself a lot of truths and do a lot of soul searching. Yeah, to just really purge and gut myself out. Talking about it definitely helps. Do you know what, Hannah? You're so right. You're absolutely right. Would you be what from the GP, Precious? I think some of your comments are coming through and some of them aren't. In it, Queen. I'm so sorry. And I think that's why this space is so crucial. And guys, I just want to let everybody know, because I know I haven't been able to like speak properly about what's happened. Ultimately, my health, I just couldn't come on like that, guys. It was so bad. I couldn't even video myself. I've got a couple of pictures of like videos, and a lot of the time when I was going to appointments and getting into the hospital transport, I was just bawling my eyes out. I wasn't even thinking about getting out my phone to record. Do you know what I mean? It was just like me coming to the realization, like, wow, I'm really, really like disabled. And, it's meant a lot of adjusting in my life and in my world. But do you know what? I've got two amazing, beautiful girls that have been amazing. And there's been so much like positivity. Do you know what I mean? Like, the relationship that I have with my girls now. I was always a bit worried about the eldest one, like her kind of just being like, oh, she don't like me, she don't be my friend. But we're stronger than ever, and I love that. You had to go church sick, otherwise you weren't a real believer. Haven't we all heard that before? Do you know what? There's just so much. It just triggers me so much, because I don't even know what church cult Precious went to. I don't even know this chick. Do you know what I'm saying? But yet, a statement like that, you had to go to church sick, otherwise you weren't a real believer. Let me take it a notch up. We had to sing with tonsillitis, laryngitis, all the itises, and go and further stretch the voice. So there are still people today who have like these things on their throat, like, people's voices, like throats have never been the same, including mine. I'm sure there's some natural, like, oh, she's from First Love. Oh my God, babe, no. Do you know what? Do you know what? Yeah, all I'm gonna say is, once I come out of this little healing era, I'm really coming for the content with Dag. I'm not even gonna lie to you. And I've been watching him on Flow. That's how I've been trying to clock like what the movement and the flow of the church cult is, and I got it. I watched it today and I caught it, and I said, interesting. So I'm gonna just like break down their whole like damage control strategy. Like, just to give people names, like, so they can understand and process the times that they're going through. You're welcome. All right, and then I'm going to finish with this. And if you've got any questions, please put them in. My dad is also a PK and knew the one Nigerian pastor as well. I'm tired. I saw ins and outs. Oh, Precious, I'm so sorry, babe. And also, I feel like if you're Ghanaian and you're in these cults, I feel like you get it more, like, depending on the culture. Because like, for me, they had to like integrate me before they started giving me, them hard, the hard hand things that they do to you. Come on, Leah, you have to do, you know what I mean? Like, just bear. Why are the women so, you know what I mean? It's like, baby girl, we gonna be okay. Just hold on. Why are you so aggressive? They tried to recruit me on uni campus and I dodged them. babe, you should be thanking the lucky stars, mate. Do you know what I mean? You need to go and get yourself a takeaway after this, a little treat. Yeah. Because the amount of people's lives that they've destroyed. Do you know how many beautiful, young, promising, intelligent women there were that just married a man and he destroyed their life? Started putting hands on them. Because these people think when they come to these environments and they lay hands on them and they say the sinner's prayer and they've been going for, like 6-7 months, they think they're like a chosen, like called prophet. And to me, I feel like it's just giving psychosis. I think there's some young people who are just, they've got so much trauma. Like, that guy Reality in Caris, there's just so much trauma. He's coming like from, where's he from? Woolwich. Sorry, guys. I just feel like all these other countries, like Thamesmead, Woolwich, Croydon. I just, I just don't class them as South London, unfortunately. But I love you, survivors. If you're here, then you're South London, okay? Still ended up in a high control church though for 4 years, and she started busting up. Don't worry, babes. We're all in the same boat. Put a record on. We've all got, and you know what? We just have to laugh. Because if we laugh, we'll cry. We just have to laugh, babe. We've been through it, man. But at least there's a community where we can come. You get me? Because when I first came out, I said, nah, man, I got to do something about this. Because I felt like I was going MED. And I said, they ain't going to take me out like that. I'm going to go online. And I'm going to expose them. And I'm going to tell everybody. That's what I'm going to do up. Yeah? And everybody's doing it, guys. You shouldn't feel shy. This is what the internet is getting used for. You see 80-year-olds on here talking about their baby daddy that, thing them for 40 years. There ain't no shame in our game. Are you all right? They don't feel no shame coming up to us and talking about this and giving us tracks and doing this and knocking our door. They don't feel no way. So why should we feel a way about exposing them? We shouldn't feel no blood clot way. Do you know what I'm saying? Are you all right? Been in 4 to 6 cult churches in my lifetime. I have stories. Oh my God. So when I start opening the floor up to the survivors, precious, please come up if you feel ready, yeah? I'm going to start doing that in the coming weeks. At least I'm not married and it didn't influence my private life that much. Okay. Yeah. If you didn't get married in there, you got an easy escape. So ladies, if you're on here, no matter how depressed you are, at least you didn't marry one of them guys in the church cult. That's all I'm going to say to you. It would have been, the bedroom would have been boring. Finances would have been, and you know what, it's just like that life, like that mundane life, like you're just doing the same thing every single day because nothing ever changes, because they've got to keep putting on the same performative show that they do every Sunday because they've got other people coming in. So us as the members, we're expected to put on that show every single Sunday. Do you understand what I'm saying? Whilst the cult leader sits on his big throne somewhere in the epicenter in Ghana. Like, that's how it works, yeah? And then as well, precious. So according to cult psychological statistics, there's it's like 95%, something very high, that when a survivor leaves a cult, that they will cult hop for the next 10 years. Yeah. So it's a very recognized and documented, phenomenon that happens in survivors. And this is one of my main reasons why I do this, because when people are inside there, I don't care. I don't care. And guys, I've got to disassociate. Otherwise, I wouldn't be able to do this. I wouldn't care. Brother, mother, father, I don't care, because once they've got them, man. The only thing that you can do is be like non-judgmental, like don't talk about the cult. Do you get what I'm saying? Go and visit a couple of times so they believe that one day they might be able to win you over, because that's the only way you're going to be able to keep these people in your life. I have a question, but it's a bit long, so bear with me. All right, darling, no problem. And you can tell them what you want, but they just don't seem to see the toxic issues. Yeah, girl, there's no point even wasting your energy and your breath, babe. Do you know what I mean? Like, there was a survivor that was speaking out with me in the early days, yeah? And he tried to go to Bishop Richard, I think even during like the pandemic when it was, they were lifting restrictions. And he just refused to see him. Then when he sees him talking online, he's messaging him. Well, and that's why, because my thing is different, innit? because I was in there for 18 years. So I know how that place runs, backwards, frontwards, inside out, everything. So I knew when I first started speaking out, I knew I had to be strong and say, I do not want you to call me publicly. And that is why I spoke up publicly, because I was like, I'm letting everybody know that it was Dag and it was these people that abused me. And, you know, if whatever they want to do, they can do in it, because I got the receipts at the end of the day. And I'm not DUMB. I'm not DUMB. And what they don't want is they don't want to fuel it. So more survivors come forward, because they know there's a lot of survivors. They know what goes on in the institution. They know. That's why now they're preaching, oh, we've got to change. You can't be coming every Sunday and you're still sinning. They're always going to be sinning, babe, because it's performative. You judge these people by their attendance. You judge them by how they look. You judge them by who their mother is. You judge them by who their father is. Okay, that's how it's judged. You get a tick every time you come to the service. If you're up underneath the pastor's batikris, that's all it is, Jay. Yeah. And if anyone wants to tell me different, tell me then. Tell me, because you know here yourself on the FYP, being an active church cult member, you know you're up underneath the PK's batikris. Of course you are. All right. And then I'm going to end with this, guys. So these children's behavior was regulated entirely by fear of punishment, parental exposure, or eternal damnation. Yeah. Because remember, the spiritual bypassing, they might come in with these kind of what are they called? Apocalyptic themed answers. You know, every time you do something wrong, you're going to go to HELL if you do that. So, you know, do you know when your kids start going through this stage, yeah, and you got to talk to them, you got to give your, it's very trying. Like my 12-year-old is transitioning into a 13-year-old, and I have to take a lot of time out, guys, not just spending time with her and understanding what's going on, but also I need to look up on the internet, like certain things that they go for. I need to familiarize myself. Like, what does she need in this particular season of her life? Yeah. But they don't do that. They just tell you're going to go to HELL and that solves it. Okay, I'm going to get to your question, Miss Rose. Your question will be the first one I answer. When they break free from the cult, the sudden flood of autonomy completely overwhelms their undeveloped prefrontal cortex, because they have been taught for decades that the secular world is a place of absolute darkness and sin. So they think that the world is EVIL. Yeah. So when they're going to uni, they're not going to uni to make friends and have that experience. They're going to uni to recruit, because they think that everyone's EVIL and they've got to save everyone for Christ. So they accept that narrative and dive into it headfirst. They engage in reckless substance use, hyper-sexuality, and dangerous thrill-seeking behavior. This can also be to get validation and to get, you know, like for attention. But I don't mean that in a way to downplay it or minimize it. I just mean to get the attention. I'm going to say it like this, because I think there might be some people who are going through this. To get the attention that they deserve. That's their right. Yeah, because a mother and a father is supposed to give you attention. That's part of their role. That's how you build a child's confidence, their self-esteem. You can't buy that. You can't buy that. You know, because I notice as well with these PKs, they got all that, like they'll have all the designers. Do you get what I'm saying? Like, I remember Bishop Richard's daughter, Yavela, having, is it Van Cleef? Because, you know, I'm not into designers. You look, can you imagine that my children are asking me for Coach bags and Juicy bags, Juicy Couture bags for Christmas? I couldn't believe it. I don't even buy these type of designer bags. Do you know what I mean? But I don't need it though. I am the designer. I taught my kids that. I said, girlies, I said, you don't need it because you are the designer. You're the muse. But I said, we'll just get it to accent your beauty. All right, guys, I'm going to go because I want to catch some rainwater. I'm going to go. I love you all. It's raining. Go out into the rain. Refresh yourself. Guys, I'm not going to lie. If I had my legs, I'd be out there like dancing in the rain or twirling in the rain. And don't you realize these are the kind of things that we did when we were children? Do you know what I mean? And I didn't even realize when I was doing this kind of thing, I was healing the inner child. Miss L. Rose, what's your question, baby? Or you thought about it and you were like, oh, no, I'm just going to leave it. All right, let me get back up to the question because there was one Precious. Precious said, First Love was my first last church cult. It is well. I wipe my hands off it. Yeah, me too, girl. Because no one's got time for that, precious. Hey, Shema. No one's got time for First Love, chair. Thanks for the follow. User 683. No one's got time for Dag. Do you know what I mean? And I think do you know what? I love the way he looks. He just looks so melting. He does. I love him so much, Dag. You know, I just love the way he's aging so gracefully. He looks so strong. He looks strong. And if I was someone out there, I'm sure I'd want to follow him. All right, guys, I'm going to go. I'll be back. I might even be back later. Let's see how it goes, because I don't know, I'm feeling it, but at the same time I need to go and get, like, you know, the energy from the rain. So I'm gonna go. I love you all so much. I don't think anybody's got any questions. I hope today's helped. I hope it's been useful, guys. I feel like I might come back on. Who is on here who is going through a lot? Because I am feeling a lot energetically coming from the collective. All right, guys, I'm gonna see if I can come back, but if I don't come back, I'll come on tomorrow. Yeah, I'm gonna try and be a bit more consistent. Ooh, 683 said come back. Okay, all right. Have you left recently, or are you a survivor that I haven't known of before? Because I might have been picking up your energy, babe. A lot of energy today. Yeah. I'll come back. I feel like it. I feel like because my mum's here. So she's with the kids and putting the kids to bed and everything. So I can be on here all day if I want to. I might as well make the most of my mum being here. Do you know what I mean? Because that's why I haven't been on, guys, because I've had to be so attentive to my children. Do you know what I mean? Because I've got to make sure my kids are straight. I can't have them being like the PKs. I was in a white garment church for years. Wow. All right then, babe. Oh, that must have been bad. Because I know they have a lot of like, I don't know. There's a lot of like quite aggressive practices. Like, even I've got a survivor. I can't remember. No, it was white garment. She's white garment too. And you know when they're doing the things with the bowls, the water bowls, she said that it would be like she felt like she was DROWN. She couldn't, you know, like gasping, like feeling like. And can you imagine as little, when you're little, getting that done? She said, Leah, the buckets were huge. Look at her saying yes. She said the buckets were huge. And you know what, babe? Yeah, I've got that same survivor was taken to South Africa, because they've got like a big churches out there, innit? Taken her to South Africa, and the woman put her in the sea, grabbed her from her mouth, her upper lip, submerged her into the air and dashed her. And to this day, I was like, how did that happen? Because I wasn't asking her how did that happen, because I didn't believe her, you know. How can someone do that? Like, can you tell me how that was made possible? Guys, she was like 11 years old. And she couldn't eat solids for 3 days. White Garment Church is, again, it's a new religious movement. It's an offshoot cult. So it was just some guy in it. Like, again, it's the same thing. Like, all of these prophets, leaders, well, they've all got what I call their claim to fame story. Yeah. And the leader of it, or is it Celestial? I'm sure it's White Garment there, because I did do my research, but let me know, babe. The leader, he like had some vision or something, innit, of angels in white. And that's why they wear white. You know, like they're white fit because he saw the angels in white. Can you imagine? That's giving psychosis. Celestial doesn't make sense to me at all. No. Oh, okay. Lovely Lou said that's correct. And then I had to go into all this other stuff, because there's like a particular white garment that's in Nigeria. Then you've got a certain ones in South Africa, and they all have is very different cultural. So I kind of, because when I was in my I don't care, and I'm not gonna lie, I've got a few people that I know like that are white garment girls, and they're on social media like active, and I was thinking I'll just expose them. I ain't got time for that. I ain't got blood clot time for that. I'll just expose them, because I know they're 304 in themselves. I've seen it with my own eyes. Are you all right? So I will just expose it, because I know that some of y'all be the worst. That's in, and again, it's because of the rules. There's so much rules. So much, like, you have to wear white, and even the underwear, in it, everything. You got baptized in Brighton water. Oh God. We used to get baptized in Littlehampton, and you know what? It was the same spot every single year. Can you imagine going to the seaside and you go to the same spot doing the same thing every single time? What was the name of the singer that unalive because of Osinachi? I think it's INA. CHI. But even if you put Nigerian gospel singer that was unalived by husband, it will come up straight away. Osinachi. My uncle in South Africa is white garment Shembe. Yeah, okay. Because the survivor is also that South African diaspora. Do you get it? Like there's a lot. It's very radical, and I think because there's less laws out there, again, there's no governance, so everything is exasperated, and there's a lot of abuse. And again, this is the spiritual bypassing. That same survivor that I'm telling you about, that's from the White Garment Church, babe. Her mum came back like 2, 4, 3 a.m. in the morning. She'd been, when they do them 24-hour prayers, and they shut them in, and they don't eat, they don't drink, they're just in there praying like for days. She comes back in some like hysteria, like she's in hysteria and mania, gets the child up, starts shaving off her hair, and drags her there at that time in the morning. Do you know how traumatizing that would be? And again, she's young, like 11, 12, and all of the like stuff that was done to her was like in childhood, because they can get away with it, innit? And they painted her as the DEVIL, and they were saying that they needed to cast out the demons and doing really abuse things. I don't think I want to talk about it anymore, because I really love her. She's someone that's, come to my home. Like, we've been out. She's such a beautiful girl. Like, she's so beautiful. And I just get so upset. And the mum just I find that the women there have such severe mental health. And it's undiagnosed, and the children suffer. There is a lot. They burn bad candles for people. You have to wear white underwear. Yeah, that you do. Yeah. And again, I just want to say, like, again, with the celestial white garment, whatever, I know they drink these leaves when they get married, and there's all these rituals. And again, all of the church cults do it. Do you know what I mean? They all have their rituals. Do you get it? And cultural elements that they bring in and whatever. But when it starts getting abuse and it starts becoming like getting there's coercive control. You have to wear this color, that underneath. You have to do this. You've got to do. That's when we start going into, do you know what I mean? Like, that's not normal. All right, I'm going to go to YouTube. Oh, hey, Dennis. When they twist the gospel and make up their own man-made doctrines. Yeah. And that's actually really, really apt for what we're saying right now. So they're twisting and making up the doctrines, but then they have like very like strange practices that are very dangerous. Well, isn't there someone who unalived in a pool because they were baptizing people? That was the other day, isn't it? So it's all coming out, guys. Again, it's just so unregulated. People could just do whatever the hell they want. So that's why people are unaliving. It's getting worse. But it's got to get worse before it gets better. Thanks for the follow, Daryl. It is White Garment Church, not in Zimbabwe. Yeah, okay. I'm not a white garment. I don't know it like a lot, but I'm just gonna try from what I know, because this survivor I'm quite close to. So that's why I retained a lot. But what I do know is they've got like there's like different subgroups depending on where you're from, and they've got different names. So like Nigeria, and then you've got the Zimbabwean ones, like in South Africa, and they do things slightly different in it because of the language, and there's slightly different leaders. It is so confusing. And even when I was trying to explain it, when I had everything out, none of it made sense. I'll be real. None of it made sense. So I can't explain it to you, babe. They just have them. I think with white garment, we need to think of it as its own denomination. Yeah. Its own denomination. And then within that denomination, they have different subgroups that are all around, like in certain diasporas of the world, namely their African countries. Mainly, I think it's Nigerian and South Africa. Am I right? I'm thinking that. Does anyone else want to add to that? Like, correct me. Yes, I'm not surprised. If you don't conform, they call you a witch. Yeah, babe. They do that. They do that in Pentecostalism as well. They love it. And calling you a Jezebel. That's why I came out like I'm the Grand Thai witch, I'm the Jezebel, I'm whatever, I'm Delilah, I'm whatever you want to call me, babes. You can call me anything you want, all the names under the sun, because I know y'all are married to those types of females, and those types of females are in the church cult. They're just retired 304. So I don't care. Do you know what I mean? I don't care. White garment is everywhere. There is different understandings. Yeah, different understandings, different dialects, different cultural practices. And that second gen survivor is saying, yes, you're right. Lou's saying I'm right. Oh, lovely Lou, you're white garment as well. Blood clot. Zimbabwean, most definitely. I love Zimbabweans. I think the women are so beautiful. I remember I went there before and there was a room with sand. Yeah, they like working with the elements, don't they? Fire, water, sand. And again, I'm not demonizing that. I'm not demonizing that because those parts, it does feel like really cultural. But I think where it gets dangerous is they mix it with that book. Yeah, that's meant for like lavery, and then they're doing like cultural things. Yeah, that's not a balance, that's an imbalance. All right, so you're not gonna get like good outcomes, if that makes sense. That's why we have a cult. You have Celestial Church of Christ and CNS. Different white garment churches have different ideologies, different founders, and different practices. Okay, yes, I was right. Oh my god, I'm so proud of myself because I learned that so long ago. Thank you so much. Thank you, Queen Precious. They use pigeons, apparently. Yeah, they use birds because this survivor I'm telling you about, they unalived the bird in the cage, and she was like, what are you going to do with that bird? Can you imagine a little child? She don't want that bird to be unalived. And then they were putting stuff on her, marking her with the bird's blood. So they're into like blood magic. But don't ever get it twisted. Blood rituals and blood, that's no different from drinking the wine. That's, you lot are gonna say, oh Leah, come on, you're reaching there. But Minakir, blood magic is blood magic, bitch. You don't need to, it's about the intention. Do you know what I mean? They're taking it too far, obviously, but they were doing that kind of stuff back in the day anyways. So I'm not trying to demonize them, but when it starts to get ABUSE, because remember, I think people can do what they want, but don't unalive animals though, because I do love birds. Do you know what I'm saying? But I do have to be like, I am an animals rights girl. Do you know what I mean? I do not like harm to any animals, yeah? So I don't think it's right. I don't think they need to be doing that. Do you know what I mean? They are referring to the Mercy Land. Oh my God. Aren't white garments 7-day Adventists? No, babe. 7-day Adventists, they're a bit like JWs. So they have their service on Saturday, if I'm correct. Again, we had, there was a girl in my branch and she had come from a 7-day Adventist setting and had been playing the piano, and she had come, her mental health, I don't know what the hell they were doing to her, but yeah, she church cult hopped from there to us, so it must be pretty bad. This because you're clued up. Oh, thanks, babes. The bread and wine thing is ritualistic too. Absolutely, Jay. And Jay, you know why you're coming in and saying that? Because you understand how it affects you and like just destroys lives firsthand. So you're gonna get it. Do you know what I mean? Because a parent that has like severe mental health will be doing that. It will be like hypochondriac, and you know what I mean? So there's a lot of trauma. There's a lot of trauma. For me, there's a lot of trauma around communion. The bread and wine, okay, I've said that. I've never seen that at a Celestial Church of Christ, not with blood magic. Okay. So that was done back home though. That was done in South Africa, not in the UK. She was taken to a mountain somewhere. And the mum was like, there's a lot, it's just mental health. Her mum's just got bad mental health. Like she's spoken to me. I don't even need to be a mental health specialist to say, yeah, your mum definitely. The things that she was doing, come on. Do you know what I mean? It's clear psychosis. And instead of getting help, they exasperate it and just give it like religious labels. And then that's where we move into the spiritual bypassing, where the parents getting away with doing these things, claiming that she's helping the church cult. I've had friends say they've been hit at a white garment. Oh God. Yeah. Oh, look, Precious said sounds like a South Africa thing. Yeah, you were right on the money. Because you know what? Like back home, these things they're not rare. Do you know what I'm saying? They're not rare. They be doing the most back home. And what they do is they take the children out there to GROOM the children and to put so much fear in them. Do you know what I mean? And then I had a whitey woman, a European woman that married a white garment guy, and she didn't know anything about it. And she said that they isolated her, they kicked her out. They did, I think eventually he stopped going. But she said they put her through HELL. And they still spoke in the language, even though she used to come and she was coming every whatever day they were having their services or whatever. They would just speak in that dialect, knowing that she wouldn't understand. So she's just there, just sitting there like an idiot. But because, do you know what I mean? And that's ignorance too, because they could put Do you know what I mean? Like a bit of English in there for her to understand. And I know that they'll use their dialect, this, that, and the third. But if you know there's people that are not speaking the language, common courtesy would be that you put a little bit of English in there just for the certain parts for people to understand. Yes, you will be hit with their loins if they have a prophecy, or you have sinned, or you're unclean. What's the loins, babe? Is that thing that they carry around? It could never be. You're not talking about that wooden thing. Wait, guys, before I go, I got to get confirmation. If it's that wooden thing, that shepherd stick. Is it the shepherd stick that they... Nah, because it wasn't called loins. What's the loins? Because they all have cult language, so I don't know what the hell this is. The thing that goes around the waist. Oh my God, that big belt. I'm going to have to get a picture and put it up behind me when we come back so we can look at the loins, because that's ridiculous. What the hell is that? What? Guys, I can't believe that. Like that is shocking. I'm not going to lie. Is that in the UK? Yes, I've had friends that tell me they've been hit. All right. Do you know what, guys? I think I'm going to go and have a break. And then hopefully I'll feel well enough to come back on. It's Saturn with frills at the end. Yes, in the UK. Have you seen Unchosen on Netflix? Yes. Whoever it was, if you're here that told me to listen to Unchosen, I have seen it. It is a very over-exaggerated version of cults, but it does help you to see how vulnerable they are, because they can be easily manipulated. And to be honest, I think that was the message of the story. I reported it to social services when I was younger. What happened? They didn't do nothing. They're human fecal matter. They didn't do nothing. 683. You'd called social services and they did nothing. Come on, tell me what they did. Okay. They didn't do a thing. Surprise, surprise. And this is why I'm on here, building this community, because we've been failed. We've been failed by so many services that are supposed to be there to support us, this, that, and the third. Guys, they're overwhelmed. They can't take on the cult stuff. I'm telling you, they're not going to take it on. They're overwhelmed. Like right now, mental health services is overwhelmed. Social services is overwhelmed. They're waiting for a child to get unalive these days. They don't care. Do you know what I'm saying? So that's why I'm trying to include in myself. We as a collective are learning how to stand on our own 2 feet, because these systems and structures made us very dependent. Yeah. So part of our emancipation and going into like this butterfly like season that we're moving into is really just about cleansing, and just like, the shedding of the snake skin. Shedding that snake skin, because remember that the snake's not EVIR, they just speak human fecal matter. Shedding that snake skin so that we can learn to depend on ourselves, because when it all falls down, we are the only ones that truly have our back. Yeah. I'm now in a great church, thank God. God helped me to get my parents out. Oh my God, that's excellent. Look, God helped her or him to get the parents out. That is so good. I'm so happy to hear that. You must be relieved. Oh God. And I bet they're having so much fun now. Do you know what I mean? Like being free. All right. Dennis is going in on YouTube. WICKED, demons, first ladies like to organize your life, dictate to you how to live. They tell you everything, and the way they say it to you is absolutely, it's just, they'll do it in a room of people. They'll tell you it's because they love you. A shepherd will come and have a little gentle word with you, a little gentle pat on the back, and then you get taken into this meeting, and then the LP's just sitting there and telling you how inappropriate your clothing is. And one of the biggest parts of what they do that I think is just one of the worst. Have I disassociated? Have I lost it? No. They put the responsibility and accountability on the woman. If any schmegschul sins happen, it's automatically the woman's fault, because she has the ability to open and close her legs, and also she can say no. So if the woman's wearing revealing things, she's got her legs out, whatever, she's just pretty, that woman has come to tempt the guys in there. We're not exploring how there are preds, and when a random soul comes into the setting, they're getting triggered and having PTSD, like panic attacks, because their essayer, the one that ate out of the great bowl, is standing at the door to greet her. He's an usher in Paris. Are you all right? So you've just got these like prolific like preds who are in here, who have histories of doing what they're doing, but there's no accountability, because all of the accountability is on the woman. And that's why when like eating out of the great bowl happens, essay, this, that, and the third, like the women are silenced, because it's like they have internalized that it's their fault. They must have done something to make this man do what he did. And so they start going down this I need to forgive, like forgiveness spiral. And that's where they just end up getting really sick, because they're not healing the body. Because that forgiveness that they talk about in there, ask them, how do you forgive? They'll give you a scripture. They'll say Romans. They don't actually know how and what it takes to actually forgive someone. They haven't got a clue. They haven't got the foggiest. They will just give you another scripture. Yeah. And again, it's spiritual bypassing. Yeah. And that's why we have like really shocking things that happen in there. We have scandals, this, that, and the third. Yeah. That's the reality. But on the positive, guys, and this is all positive because they need to be exposed. But looking at the glass half full, we are out. We are out. And remember what I said to you, no matter how hard it gets, guys, no matter how difficult it gets, we're not in there. Anything's better than being in there. Are you all right? I would have been wasted in there. Oh my God. My life was just human fecal matter before. Look at me now. I mean, I am the living walking receipt. That's why before survivors were speaking, they were like, oh, we didn't have any more survivors. I am the walking living receipt, baby. You don't need more than this. When you got all of this, you don't need nothing else. Being discarded, the Mogs called it being expelled, thrown out of the cult. The Mogs have no remorse, no emotional care if you're unwell. Yeah, that's why people unalive. That's why people end up unaliving. There was the girl in Paris that unalived of cancer because she was believing in God. Do you understand what I'm saying? There's me. There's other survivors. That's why we're so unwell when we come out of these spaces, because there's no self-care. There's no self-love. You just put yourself on the back burner. You don't really, and the women don't really love themselves. They only get done up when there's a big choir conference, or some sort of performance, because again it's performative. If they're like the bishops coming, or the cult leader or whatever, now you see them with their nice wig on. Now you see them in a little dress that looks acceptable. It's all fake in there. Please, guys, if you've been in a cult, have a personal relationship with God. All right. So, because one thing that we don't do is, because you're new, we don't kind of tell people to have relationship, because we have some people have atheists, some people are agnostic. But again, you don't know. And I know you're just sharing that from your heart. But that's just going to resonate with people who have a relationship with God. It's all right, babe. Don't worry, you're new. So how I'm going to put it, because I know your heart is pure with that. If you are on that path, I think what 683 is saying is, if you're on that path and you're still believing in God, I think what he's saying is it's about a personal relationship with God. And I agree, babe. I agree. Because it can't be religious. And you need to have that personal relationship with God before you start church shopping. Do you know what I mean? Before you start thinking about going to a church, you need to learn to stand on your own 2 feet by yourself, so that it's like you need to go through certain experiences so that you won't go through them again. And you need to know how to stand on your own 2 feet, because if you don't, you'll be church cult hopping for the next 10 years. And the thing is, if you came from a setting that was very like, like back home, traditional drums, this and that, then you might church cult hop to another cult and be like, oh my God, this is so nice, they're so good here. But remember, you're comparing it to a place that was HELL. So that could still, in fact, be a cult. But because you're measuring it up against a very extreme, none of that stuff was normal. Yeah, they were supposed to go jail. Do you understand what I'm saying? Let's just call a spade a spade. Criminal activity. Yeah? So what I found with a lot of uncles is that they would end up in whitey churches. And this is not targeting anyone who's in a whitey church. It could be really good. This is just this experience. Yeah. And I could see within the first 10 minutes of the video, it's definitely given cult, but they're not seeing it like that because they've come from a very traditional environment, and the BLK, and BLK people trigger them. Do you get it? So again, that's spiritual bypassing. They don't want to deal with the reality of all of it to have to deconstruct. So they go to the whitey church because it doesn't trigger them as much. And then a lot of these guys end up starting cults. So they further add on to the issue. Yeah. Because we've got even more EVIL guys starting up these cults. Because remember, anyone can get a hall and then call it a church cult tomorrow. Yeah. What causes one to cult hop? Oh, that is such a brilliant question, Miss Elrose. I don't know what it indefinitely means. I would go and do a bit of research on that because that is a really good question. But what I would say, just from off the top of my head, I think not deconstructing. Hey, Jay. I think when they're not deconstructing, thank you so much for the gifts, my love. Because when they don't deconstruct, they're not able to identify what a cult is. Do you get it? They just think that the people were bad. So in their mind, they haven't even processed it because they just think, oh yeah, that it was bad, evil, wicked people. They're not looking at the whole faith and deconstructing so that they can understand how it would be possible for them to do what they did. Yeah. From my perspective, they are also looking for belonging. Yes. For belonging, for a family. It could be social. That's a very big point. And guys, give me what you think your answers are, because you are all the experts of your life. Yeah. And you've got to remember that, especially if you're engaging with services, they are not the experts of your life. Social services is not the experts of your life. Okay. In social services, there's a practice that's, I forget what we call it. I think, is it working together? Anyway, social workers have to treat you like you're the expert of your life. So when they start trying to dominate you and coming in and speaking human fecal matter and wasting your time, tell them, whatever their name is, Sally, I'm just letting you know that I am the expert of my life. I am the one who has been dealing with this diagnosis for many years. And, I am actually able to advocate for myself and, in fact, even inform you and maybe help you with certain areas that you may not be as familiar with, because I am the expert of my life and I am experiencing this in real time. Yeah. Because with the social services, you've got to talk their language. They don't care about your opinion. You get it? If they're doing something that they're not meant to do, yeah, Jay, you know how it is. If they're doing something that they're not meant to do, you go and put it through ChatGPT or Gemini and tell them what they've done and say to ChatGPT, what is the social work England standard for this? What are the legislations and core practices, policies and guidance around this? What are my rights? Wish my mum knew you back then. Oh, Jay, don't make me cry. But look at you though. You would never be this version of yourself. And I'm not saying, please don't misconstrue what I'm saying and it happened for you to be. No, this is the glass half full. The beautiful man that you are. Do you know what I mean? Do you know how many men are just in their head? We're going to see a lot of the slip and slide rate go up in men. There's going to be a lot happening. Because there are some men that are entirely reliant on this patriarchal, misogynistic structure in every facet of their life and being. And so because the old tricks of, that type of manipulation and psychology, people are just seeing through it now, especially women. Even if they don't want to see it, they see it. Because these, even the practices, the way that people are working in these institutions has changed. And they may not change the way that they work, but I don't care. Because if the guidance and the policy and the legislation says you should be working like that, you better work like that. because that's what the legislation is. And those legislations and laws and guidance and policies are put in place to protect children and promote the well-being and the welfare of the child. So if you are not doing that, and you're your whole profession hangs on that section 1, yeah, to promote the welfare and the well-being of the child, and you ain't doing it, lawyer. I think I hear a solicitor. Like, just don't bother. Don't do up all of that with them, because the energy and time that you would spend wasting going back and forth with social services, you could have got yourself a lawyer by then. Because what you need to, anyway, I'm not giving to you, need to be coming into those meetings with representatives. Do you understand what I'm telling you? Yeah. Because there's a lot of bureaucracy, in these settings, a lot. And a lot of them are underqualified, sloppy, inadequate. The way they can't even write reports. Do you know what I mean? And that's why it took me like one evening to dismantle this social worker's report that she put against me. I'm still challenging it. I got a complaint. Do you know what I mean? I'm going to be taking her to court. It's that stage. It's gone past the stage 2 now, because I've done this. I'm reporting her up to Social Work England, everything. Do you know what I mean? I ain't got time for that. How dare you think you can falsify information on a report, just completely lie? This woman had a different version of events, but do you know where I got her? I recorded her. I told social services, I said, I'll take you to court. I've got the recordings. So she said A, B, C, and D, but it was X, Y, and Z. And guys, I was so sick the day she came here, but something said recorder. I've got recordings. I've got recordings of all of them. Not adhering to social work England's standards. I've got it. I got it all recorded. That's why they had to change it up. And they tried to come back in the complaints letter and be like, I just want to make it clear, we didn't change the social worker because of A, B, C, and D. I was like, oh, whatever, man. You lot are breaking the law. When I've gone and taken these points to a solicitor, they've come back to me and said, yes, they're breaking the law. Are you all right? There's social workers out there breaking the law, guys. And because they know the power that they have, there's like that power imbalance. They know the power that they have. Do you understand what I'm saying? Especially when it comes to like the courts, like Kafkas, all of that. They have a lot of power. A lot of power. And when they're not making sound professional judgments based off, knowledge, theory, do you understand what I'm saying? And they're going off biased judgments, ego and hate because they're jealous. Nah. Do you get what I'm saying? Or some of them, they're intimidated because of what you know. Yeah, they don't like to be told what to do because they're very, like, everything's like systems and tick box. When I tell you, yeah, guys, this social worker lied about everything on that assessment. She said that the dogs were urinating on my carpet. She said my carpet, all different types of stuff. All different types of stuff, chair. I was just like, oh my God, I can't believe this. What the hell is going on? I felt like I was in like an alternate universe. I couldn't believe it. And even I was speaking to a survivor today, and when I was telling the survivor what went down, yeah, she couldn't believe it. She was like, Leah, like what these individuals have done to you makes me feel sick to my stomach. That's what she told me. She couldn't even speak. I thought, Ross Clark, boy, is that the reception? It's crazy. It's crazy. I'm telling you, yeah, they don't care. They don't care. And the thing is, yeah, these type of people that they got in these systems now, all the good social workers have gone. They're not doing it anymore. Do you know what I mean? Because it's too low vibrational, all the lovely social workers. So we're just left with a bunch of, I don't even know what to say. There's a few good ones. Like they changed my one and she's more professional, because I said to them, listen, I need someone that I can engage with that's going to adhere to the social work standards. Do you know what I mean? That's all I'm asking. just give me, I said, can you please give me social workers with the qualification? Them ones. I don't want the social workers that have been working there for like 12 years and they've never done any type of formal qualification. Everything is done through the local authority. I worked in the local authority for almost 10 years. I know how it goes down in there. Anyway, guys, on that note, I think I'm going to leave it because I'm just going on and babbling. But I hope that this live has helped. I've been on for quite a while. And I think that was a really, really good question, Miss Elrose. Thank you for asking that question at the end, because I think it's really nicely winded us down. Guys, I'm quite sure I'm going to be on tonight, but it just hope and pray that my health will be all right. Yeah, because if my health's all right, I'll come on. As I said, I've got my mum here. If my health's all right, I'll come on. But if my health's not good, you should reach out to a sister on TikTok. She speaks about the social services. Oh yeah, I know who you're talking about, Renea. But do you know what it is, babe? I do definitely want to reach out to her, but where I'm still healing, and you know what I mean, I haven't like got the capacity to do like so much yet. Oh my god, I'm saying, look how dehydrated I am. I gotta go. It's Renea, I think, Renaya. But if you just put like something about social services, she'll come up, because she's got loads of followers, and she's like outside in these streets doing it, and she's got a song. Oh, it's not her. Oh, I don't know who you're talking about then, love. All right, guys, I'm going to go. This has been lovely. It's been really special. I love you so much. And I will, it's likely I'll be back later if my health is okay. All right. Love you guys. TikTok, I'm going to go first. Put on your notifications. And YouTube, I don't, do you get notifications? Oh, I got a related tutorial. It's because I was using church too much. Whenever I use church, that happens. Whenever I use church, when I don't use church, I'm good. Whenever I use church, Christianity, whatever, I can't come back on this profile. So if I'm gonna come back on live, I have to go on another profile. I've got another one I can go on. All right, guys, I love you so much. I might be on later, or if not, I'll be on tomorrow. Love you. Bye, guys. Be happy.